Welcome everybody to our live Q&A with Michael Reed. I'm so excited to introduce you guys. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sarah McCool. I'm so excited to introduce you guys to someone that everybody is loving seeing at the end of service each week, but few people know very little about. So with not much more to do, I welcome Michael Reed.
You said a few people know little about. That means a lot of people know a lot about me, is what that means. That's a double negative right there.
Well, yep. Also, Michael has no problem always pointing out and tearing apart what I say. And yes.
Well, we're here today because of you, so I have to give it back a little bit.
He's so excited to be here. All right, so little instructions on how this is going to go. You guys have submitted some questions through email and social media. I will be asking these questions, but if you come up with something really good, we do have a moderator off screen who is watching the chat feed in our YouTube, and they will be feeding me extra questions. So make sure you say hello. And we are going to jump in. If we don't answer one of your questions and we feel like it really should have been answered, we'll make sure to get an email or something out to you to answer your questions. But we're going to start things off kind of easy, and we're going to start things off with my own question, which is the great debate. Oh, how funny. I didn't see that one. Is it Michael or Mikey?
Depends on who you ask. If you ask my mom, if you saw the countdown, it is Michael. That's what she named me. Don't call me anything else. She gets a little upset. To multitude of people, it is Mikey. That started in junior high with Aaron. Actually started that. He's said over the years it is a term of endearment. So how can I not like it? Usually other Mikes or Michaels will call me Mike, and I back to them. So it kind of just depends on who you are. I do not care. People are allowed to call me whatever they want. I've spent too much of my life talking about this. And so if this can be the final nail in that, it'll make the whole day worth it.
As we were getting ready for this interview, you asked me, so are you calling me Michael or Mikey? And I just laughed because I said, I'm going to try my best to call you Michael.
So I will usually introduce myself as Michael because it is a little more grown up-ish. I got in that habit with a business that I was a part owner of, and on calls and stuff like that. So there's even in my language I usually don't call myself Mikey. I let others call me that. I have no problem when people do. I want people to call me what they like calling me.
My wheels are turning. Does it have to be Michael or Mikey?
I'm a fan of nicknames, so I don't mind them at all.
I love it. Well, along with nicknames, why don't you let everybody at Element know what your actual Element title is?
Today? No. My title is Minister of Element Life. It's a catch-all job title. If you can't pick that up from that, it means absolutely nothing, or it could mean anything. So it's a hodgepodge of things.
Awesome. All right. Next up, we're going to go into what are your hobbies? I'll start ezy for you. What does Mikey like to do in his spare time?
Is that the easy one? It's hard to say. I think it depends on, I don't know. I like walking the dog. I like riding my motorcycle. I love going to watch a good movie in the movie theater when nobody else is in the theater. I get much joy out of being alone. So I've not been able to do that.
To the movie theater?
That's the experience of the big screen and the sound and the smell of burnt popcorn, I guess. I don't know.
That's awesome. Speaking of the dog, who is that little friend you have behind you?
That is Blue. He's about 3 years old. He is a mutt. And so I don't know exactly what he is. And then that's Fred over there, my pink flamingo sitting out by the coffee.
I thought it was Joe.
Did I call it Joe earlier? I don't remember. I didn't actually name it.
That's awesome. All right. Now here comes a tough one. I hope you're ready. This one's from Jenna Hiker. Star Wars or Star Trek?
So I'm going to say Stargate, actually. If I
I don't
get to
even know what
choose,
that is.
oh, that hurts my heart. Stargate was a franchise that hasn't been around as of yet. Stargate Universe was by far the best show, one of the best shows I've ever seen, and sadly was ended. Between the two, I'm a Trekkie. I grew up watching Next Gen. I liked Enterprise. I love J.J. Abrams, so I didn't mind those movies. I've not seen Picard, so don't ask.
Me
Yeah,
neither.
so
I wouldn't
I,
have.
you know, I found the Star Wars main characters to be too whiny for me the whole time, so not a fan as much.
I love it. Okay. How about one from Michelle G? What is your favorite thing about Santa Maria?
Well, it's not the smell, I can tell you that. Uh, it's hard. I think something like that, it has to be the people, right? I love that oh, Santa Maria, it's a love-hate relationship, right? Because it's we don't know our identity as Santa Marians. Are we a small town? Do we want to be a large town? Do we want to be San Luis? Do we want to be Santa Barbara? The answer is we can't be. And so I find that in that kind of dichotomy of wanting to be different things intriguing. And I wasn't born here, but this is home, and so I love the people. And
How old were you when you guys came out here?
about 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't remember anything prior to Santa Maria.
Okay. Well, the Tracys, both Matt and Stephanie, kind of piggyback on that. If you weren't in Santa Maria and you could live anywhere else in the world, where would you go?
Somewhere where it rains 80% of the time. I love the rain. I could never live in a big city, so not like Seattle, but I could see myself taking a ferry into a small island somewhere off of Seattle and enjoying the rain and the remoteness.
I had an aunt who lived on Fox Island.
Nice.
Which is one of the islands off of Seattle. Or you could live in Forks, Oregon.
Forks?
That's where Edward and Bella are from in Twilight.
I'm so thankful I didn't know that.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, we know that you've been in Santa Maria. How did you come to Element, and how did you get the position that you currently hold?
Well, to answer the second question, if you're dumb enough to say, well, I'll do that, then you pretty much get the job around here.
Wow, thanks.
Yeah. Come on, is that not true? Is that not true? So Aaron was my youth pastor at a previous church. I've only actually been a part of 2 churches that I can actually remember. And at the previous church, he was my youth pastor. And I like to think I was one of the voices in his head that promoted and encouraged him to branch out and plant Element. So I've been here actually since the beginning. I helped do, I was one of 2 people who made the logo. I've done all of our websites, but I did the website. Back then, I really was just doing sound and media and like communications, like the website and stuff. And how do I get the position where I'm at now? Huh?
Who else did the logo?
Marissa Jafruti.
Wow, yeah. I didn't know that. That's so cool.
Very talented graphic artist. Yeah, we worked on it together.
Very neat.
I'm trying to think. So my job is such a hodgepodge job. It's hard to pinpoint. About 2 years into Element, so we planned with a large gathering of people, about 40, and with it we inherited some small groups from a previous church, and in time those were not bad in any way, but they weren't really in line with what Aaron's vision for Element was. And even when we started with the gospel class, it was clear that he wanted people living on mission, who shared life together, who are a sent people. And there came this time where the individual who was overseeing the small groups at the time couldn't do it anymore. And we knew it was one of the most important kind of roles within the church. And so Aaron and I, because we worked together in several areas of life, we'd have these long discussions. And finally one day he asked me to step up into this role. And that was hard because I was actually a part of a small group from my previous church still 2 years in. And so that started me in a journey of actually branching out from kind of the tech world into more of a people world. And that was a challenge in of itself. But studying what it truly means to live as a gospel-centered community and what that looks like, and how small groups are part of that. But our vision for it is a little more expansive. And from there it just grew. And now I work with the board and our elder team, and I try to do whatever needs to be done around here.
I like it. And that's kind of a perfect transition into the next question, also from Michelle G. As you're talking about gospel communities and kind of the birth of gospel communities at Element, what has been your favorite GC memory or experience?
My favorite? That's a tall order to narrow down. I don't know if I have a favorite. I have very many memorable ones. Probably the ones that stick out in my head the most are the ones where beautiful friendships have been formed with, in my mind, unlikely people. So when a friendship between me and somebody who I would never have imagined would or could be friends become good friends that want to share life together, I think that is a beautiful thing. Kind of going back, so really the first gospel community I was ever involved with, didn't have the label at all. It was actually when I was in high school. And Aaron and Marianne did a wonderful job of sharing their life with a group of us who really helped to serve with the youth ministry, whether that was our Sunday night, what was called X service, or our Wednesday night. And after those two services, they'd invite us over to their homes, and we'd share a meal usually both those nights in some fashion. We'd watch a movie on Sundays, and usually a TV show, Stargate, on Wednesday nights. And really, I think that's where my love and passion for gospel communities came from. We didn't know that that's what we were doing, but we were centering our lives and pouring our lives out together. We were working together as a team at least 2 nights a week, if not more. I mean, John Warren was hooking up skating ramps, all the time for youth events. And so I mean, I think we had that missional aspect of youth in the city and youth at schools, and it was geared around the youth ministry. And then we shared life in doing that work, and then out of that we celebrated just life and each other. And so for me, those are the most fondest memories I have of gospel community. And I think that partly drives what I long for as an adult now, who is in a completely different stage. But also I think is needed, that we need to be loved and accepted and involved and welcomed into each other's lives, and ultimately do the work of ministry.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm not from here, but I've heard so many cool stories about X service and you guys taking like current songs and re-lyricking them to like Christian songs.
Aaron called them saved songs. I think we call them redeemed songs today, but I cannot hear I'd Walk 500 Miles without a completely different version of lyrics going through my head.
I love seeing the pictures of all of you guys too. Pretty cool.
Brutal.
All right. Well, what would you say? It sounds like, growing up around Aaron, growing up in ministry pretty much, do you have like a pivotal moment in your life that you can think about when you began following Jesus? And if it's shocking, that question came from Mike Harmon, getting straight to the heart.
I mean, I think following Jesus is a lifelong thing, and in ways there's turning parts of our lives over more and more to him. The gospel message, the first time I heard it, really, that I responded was in junior high. I was at this conference, weekend conference. The theme was Code Blue, and it's this idea that it's a medical term where the body in front of you is dead and lifeless, and there's this code that means it needs this external procedure. It needs something outside of itself to bring new life back into it. And so that was the first time I really understood my need for a savior, and knowing that I can't do it myself. There's been lots of stuff in between. I remember when after a few years out into Element, really remember thinking, man, why does Aaron keep talking about this gospel thing? Like, I get it. Stop talking about it. And as I moved into overseeing DCs, then the complaint became, why is it with all these people? If we could just do church without people, I'd still kind of have that, let's be honest. But it'd be so much easier. And I think God really used those complaints of my heart to really show me my need for the gospel, and why I need to understand every day I'm created by a good God. I spit in his face every day, and there's nothing I can do to restore that broken relationship that he made. And that by him and his work and his love and his grace, he's met the wrath that I deserve. And so therefore I live with his righteousness, and I am free now. And if I don't understand that, if I don't remind myself every day, I become an arrogant jerk who is, or more of an arrogant jerk, I should say, that still is me centered. And so for me, that was a big one, truly understanding my need for the gospel, and then to then expand it out to understand other people's need for the gospel, and understanding and coming to love people in their brokenness, inside and outside the church, especially outside the church, who don't know and don't follow Jesus.
That's really nice. Thank you for sharing all of that.
It's a long answer for that question.
No, I don't know how you answer that in a short way. How did Jesus change your life? Jeff Pruitt asked a really neat follow-up question almost to that. Do you have someone who's been maybe a big influence on your walk with Jesus? Or in your walk with Jesus, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, first that comes to mind is Aaron. I've sat under his teaching and his friendship since I was 15 years old, which was 20 plus years ago now. And I mean, his steadiness in preaching the gospel week in, week out has had huge implications, and has directed me a lot. And he is somebody who isn't afraid to ask tough questions and hold your feet to the fire. And he does it in love, and he does it caringly. And so I would say by far Aaron is one of the biggest. If I were to go outside this church, I would say there's a guy, Jeff Vanderstelt. His teaching and his love for mission and people have been influential for me. Definitely not as much as Aaron in any way. I think it's good to hear outside voices, but it's those who know you that can speak into your life that really have the biggest impact.
Yes. Well, that's enough nice things about Aaron. How about we get to the question from John G. was, what is the most annoying thing about working in close proximity with Aaron?
Well, there's a reason that his office is about 300 yards from the rest of our offices. It's just like when you talk to Aaron on a Sunday, he is thinking of 15 things at once, and he doesn't mean to, and sometimes he cuts you off and stuff. I don't know. I forget the word that the question asked. Annoying or
it was annoying.
Okay, annoying. We've learned a lot how to work with each other. He is somebody that I've had to learn, and hopefully others do too, that not every idea he wants to run with. He's an idea guy. He likes coming up with ideas. He is very creative in that. And if you run with every idea he has, you will spin yourself out. And so learning how to wait and see if he even brings it back up again, or kind of just, oh yeah, that's nice, and move on. It's hard because you'll think I have a tendency to think he's directing me to do something when really he's just processing out loud. And so that's one thing. The other thing I guess I'll say is, and I think we have come to a good understanding, is he's a verbal processor who's quick on his feet, who thinks out loud. So if I come to him with anything, or he comes to me, he'll want to talk about it. And I'm a slow processor who needs 3 days to think about something before I commit or have an opinion. Well, I have lots of opinions, but before I want to speak my opinion. And so it's taken
the
us
many draft emails that you start and add to.
I do that less now though. Yeah, but no, it's true. Like, and so learning the balance of how to work together, and it's a beautiful thing. It can be frustrating and it can be annoying, I guess.
I love it. Sorry, Aaron. We didn't know we were going to end up roasting you. I don't know if you're commenting in the chat right now and complaining.
I'm sure you can say much worse things about me. So
I know. Okay. I liked this one from Minette Shaver. She said, I don't want to get it wrong. Looking back on Element's growth, thinking about the Planting Roots campaign, the building project, moving, what has been the biggest challenge for you, both personally and professionally? And yeah.
Well, in growth in general, I mean, the hardest thing for me is managing other people. So whether that is employees or volunteers, I think that is one of the biggest areas I still need growth in. It is hard to lead people well, and it is hard to recover from the many mistakes I have made in trying to do that. And so I would say that's probably one of the hardest things, is just managing, especially staff. It's a unique situation when you have, you work closely, your friends, there's weird boundaries or there's weird lines in the sand. And I'm not the most compassionate person on earth. And so it's, I most of the time I want to get things done and I don't think about emotions in that may or may not be hurt in the midst of it. So I would say that's hard. Planting roots and finding a home, that was all, it was definitely growing experience. I learned a lot about what a city permit looks like and the awful pains of that. But I think trusting God was what God showed all of us, me included in that. And looking forward now, rebuilding Element kind of after this, COVID-19 is next on the plate and challenging. And so it's the people. I mean, it's gonna be the thing I love the most and the thing that drives me the most insane is people.
Awesome. And you kind of like led into the next one and kind of winding down, but looking forward and thinking about the future, Michelle wants to know what your greatest hope for Element would be in the next year.
So it's interesting. So before even COVID-19, I mean, we had talked as a kind of Aaron and I leadership team. We talked about how we wanted this year really to be a year that God uses us for mission. And you see that really through Acts. I mean, Acts is amazing thing about how God sends us and what it really means to take the gospel out and to love people where they are. And so our heart and desire has been that we would be a people who mobilize, that, to run into the burning building, so to speak. And it's really interesting. So COVID-19's happened and the stay at home and all that. And I think it's an opportunity that many of us are taking at Element to do just that. And so that's what I want to see. I want to see us outpouring our lives in a way where, there's this question that churches sometimes ask themselves, and it says, if we disappeared tomorrow, if our organization disappeared, would our city know? Would anybody outside of the people who attend care? And And that is a good question to ask ourselves, because if the answer is, it'd be just another empty building and nobody cares, then I think that we are not representing the gospel well in our community and outside our walls. I'm happy to say, I really, we're hearing really amazing things with the students at Delta right now. They're telling their teachers and the staff over there, like, and the parents are telling them, hey, I'm really bummed my kids aren't in school right now, because you Delta staff, you care so much for my kid, but also there's that church that has helped our family in a few ways, and we're getting story after story now building. We've got actually just got invited to help with the graduation, and so that's my goal, is that we don't relax after this, that we use this time to kind of reprioritize. I think we are all way too busy in life, and if we can both withdraw on that, but also go out, I think it'll be the most effective thing Element can do.
Beautifully said. Oh my gosh, I can hear my children. Can you hear them? Oh. All right. I like kind of ending things on this one. John G asked, where do you or Element need the most help right
now? Right now, like right now, or like just in general? So,
yeah.
So I mean,
now we need everyone to start submitting more Hello Element videos.
That's true. This Sunday will be the last one of those, unless we get more. Run for public office. I'm serious. I seriously, I think if anything has taught us anything, it's that who we elect to government offices, from the most local to the top, matters. And we, as Christians, the collective we, need to be more present, need to love our cities, love our counties, and be more engaged. And I think that's really important. So that's big pie in the sky. Who's going to do that? Delta, it goes back to, if everyone, Aaron this Sunday, he's talking about Paul and how Paul entered the city, and how he took the gospel, and how he's burdened for the city. And if everyone prays that God gives that burning in their hearts, for Delta, for coworkers, for neighbors, I think we will do. I think God will do amazing things through us. And so there's lots of work to be done. And I'm not saying here, we always need help, but it's yeah.
That's pretty special, and it shows where your heart truly is, and it is about the community of Santa Maria when people are asking how to help you, and you continue to send them out. And I think that is a really great quality about you, my friend. And you don't know how to take a compliment, so I've just made you uncomfortable in front of all the people watching. Well, that kind of brings things to the end here of the questions I was hoping to get through, and kind of the timing that we wanted to do. But I appreciate you letting me chuck you into the hot seat. I think it's, you do help. You're a lot of people know the tech assistance that you do, which I think nobody realizes how deep that really goes, but also just the management of staff and overseeing different ministries, gospel communities. You really do help make things spin. And I think it's important that people had a chance to see you and Blue and Joe Fred. Everyone who's watching, I hope you're enjoying these. We are going to start interviewing some of the missions that we focus on and highlighting those within interviews to bring to you as we keep going through the different staff and leadership. So if there's a mission you've heard us talk about, or a staff member, or a deacon you've seen before, please feel free to submit your suggestions in the comments or shoot us an email and let us know. But thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed learning something new about Michael, about Element, and I look forward to doing the next one. See you guys. Wrong mouse. Oh, goodness.